Already?
Hi. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for hanging in there with us all day. Hopefully, with this being the last class of the day, you still have a little bit of energy left because our project is only going to take a little bit of fabric this year, but it's going to be really, really cute. Let me show you what we're making. Thank you. We are making the Alma Belt Bag. So I'm gonna tell you why I call it a belt bag in a second. So this is the project that we're working on today. You should have received your instructions, your materials, your pattern, and your kit. But this is what it looks like. And like Carrie said last night, we're not making the coin pals tonight. Check our Facebook page if you want to see how to make that. But this is the bag itself. It goes around your waist or your belly. Some people may wear it on the back, so they've called it a fanny pack. But yeah, so there's this. And I called it a belt bag because you can literally wear it on your belt. And so I was inspired the other day. I've been on a kind of a denim kick recently. And so I did make this one for my belt. It has belt loops on the back. And it attaches to your belt. So it can be worn as a belt bag. See that? Yeah, so there's that. It's just some old pieces of denim. So if you have any Ariana scraps left over after tomorrow's project, you might want to continue. Maddie's trying to clean this. So first I got to watch out for Sassy. Now I got to watch out for Maddie too. What is going on in this family? So as I was saying, if your Ariana top for tomorrow has any extra pieces left over, that's what you can use for this. I just patched together some pieces I had from extra denim projects from this summer. So there's that. But so yes, let's get right into it because we've got a lot to do in a little bit of time. So move these things to the side. And we can start with what's all in your kit. So if you ordered your conference kit, you've gotten a little packet that has, of course, your instructions. I'll put those on the table, sorry. It has your instructions. It'll have your pattern piece, your pattern. I'm sure you all cut out already with Carrie. And your hardware. We'll talk about these pieces that are here before we get started. So there's this buckle piece. Comes in two pieces that are put together, but you unclip it. And there's three pieces. We'll talk about those when we get to that step. And then you've got your webbing. That's what's going to create the belt part that goes around your belly. And we've got a zipper. Okay. So these are all of your supplies that you'll need. In terms of fabric, you were given a half yard of a main, a lining, and some fusible interfacing for this project. But like Carrie said, there's definitely a lot of extra fabric in this pack for you guys if you order them, because I was able to get everything to fit on a fat quarter. So if you'll see here, this is just a fat quarter that's been folded in half. So here's my fold. And if you missed the layout piece last night, if you didn't get a cut yet, here's how those would go. So there are three pieces that get cut on the fold. Piece number one, which is the main, like the back piece. Piece number two, which is your center panel. And I'll have the bag here right beside you. You can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So here we go. Piece number one. This is the back, which is here, obviously across the back. For that, you're going to cut one piece of your main, one piece of your lining, and one piece of your interfacing. For your piece number two, which is the center panel, you'll notice along the front, it's actually kind of like a patchwork situation going on here. So this is the center panel here. You may choose to use your main fabric for all three pieces. Or I know we had lots of scraps last night when we made our sunflower. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to say sunflower. We made our flower pin cushions last night. So I'm sure we have lots of scraps laying around. And literally, these pieces are about 3 or 4 inches around. So if you have some scraps and you want to do kind of a patchwork on this front, there's definitely an opportunity for that. I used 2 different prints and then the main print for this sample bag, if you can see here. So piece number 2 is just this center panel. So as we're describing the pieces, you might want to think about how you want to cut these. And if you've already cut them, it's fine, no big deal, because the pieces are so small, you can use this scrap for something else and pull out a scrap that you want to replace it for. Not a big deal. And again, with the center panel, you're going to cut all 3 pieces, but you're going to cut one because you're cutting it on the fold. You're going to cut one of your main, one of your lining, and one of your interfacing. Then piece number 3, which is this one, this is the left and right panel. So that's these 2 pieces, the exact same thing. So it's going to be mirror images, one on your left, one on your right. That's those, which can also be from scraps. Piece number 4 is your side piece. So that's this. that extends out and it attaches to your waistband or to your webbing to go around your waist. So these are your side pieces, maybe another opportunity for some piecing or some print mixing there as well, because that's another little piece that's going to stick out on the side. So on your outside, you'll see that here, but the lining piece is going to be on the inside of your back, so you wouldn't see that at all. But again, you're going to cut all 3 pieces of this. You'll cut 2 from your main fabric, 2 from your lining, and 2 from your interfacing. And then for piece number 5, cut on the fold. This is the top of your belly bag. That's here. If you're using your main fabric, that's what that's going to be. You cut 1 from your main, 1 from your lining, 1 from your interfacing. Then the last piece, which is piece 6, that's the pockets that's on the inside. And so for our, oops, there's more bags in here. For our pocket, I chose to cut it from the main fabric just to have a contrast against the lining. Totally up to you. But for how it's listed on our pattern, it's shown that you'll cut it from the lining. But again, this is your bag. You customize it however you'd like. But you'll cut one of these on the fold. So if you know the So Creative way of doing the pocket, you'll know why it's cut this way. So again, this bag is only 6 pieces. And on the outside, it may be fun to mix and match, do some mixing your style like Alea, some piecing or quilting, maybe like Janet and Rose, or the quilt quad, as they like to call themselves. But yeah, within these 6 pieces, you can do whatever you'd like. But for the purpose of demonstration and for today's class, we'll be working with a main, a lining, and an interfacing, okay? And for the magic of TV, I've cut those out so that you can see. So I'll show you which prints are which, so you'll know what I'm talking about as we go. Oh, and for homework, if you didn't already, go ahead and heat up your iron so that you can interface or press your interfacing onto your main. All your main pattern pieces need to be interfaced before we sew them onto the bag, which you'll see on my demo pieces. So just so you know, as we're talking, my mains obviously have the interfacing on the back, but this will be the main print, and this is our lining print. Okay. Are there any questions about cutting, pattern pieces, layout before we move over to the machine?
Did you say the pocket lining is cut on the fold?
The pocket is cut on the fold. The pattern piece says to cut it out on the lining, but it is totally up to you if you want it. So for example, this is my lining of the back. The pocket piece itself is going to lay up against this lining piece on the inside of your bag. So if you wanted it to contrast, you could use another print, or you could use your outside print. Or if you wanted it to fade into the background, then you would just use the same print that your lining is cut from. Totally up to you. But yes, the pocket piece is cut on the fold. Thank you for that. Good question. We did not say that last night. Okay, so just to repeat.
Last night I didn't tell them to cut it on the fold.
Not a big deal though. If they cut 2 pieces, then if they cut 2, we'll sew them back together. Not a big deal.
Likely they cut it not on the fold because it doesn't state to cut on the fold.
Oh, sorry. Okay, no, it does not. Okay, so if you did not cut it on the fold, not a big deal. This is going to be your fold line. Okay, so if you cut it out like this, that's fine. You cut one of this piece and you cut it out just like this rectangle here, that's fine. That's your fold line. We're going to sew it that way. Okay, sorry for that confusion, y'all. All right, so any other questions before we move on to the sewing machine? Are we good? All right, let's go to the sewing machine. Grab up all my pieces and go to the sewing machine.
Arkisha,
yes.
If you have 2 pieces of a main, do both pieces need to be interfaced?
2 pieces of a main. Yes. So for example, let me show you on the bag itself. So say for example, if maybe you're referring to like your side pieces or your side panels. Yes, because they're all going to be on the outside. Anything on the outside of the bag needs to be interfaced so you get that sturdy kind of support for your bag. If it were just fabric, it would be a lot more flimsy, like how the lining piece looks. So for example, this is just kind of flimsy, but the interface piece is much more sturdy. So anything that's going to be shown on the outside of your bag, yes, it does need to be interfaced. So if you're cutting 2 pieces of fabric for the outer, 2 pieces of fabric for the lining, you will also cut 2 interfacing pieces to match those main pieces.
So just to clarify, people who are doing the cutting, Yes, the PDF did say it, but if you received the packet, it didn't state to cut on the fold.
For the pocket piece?
Yeah.
Okay, the pocket piece is not a big deal, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get that pocket. The pocket piece is cut on a fold to save you one stitch, but if you did not cut it on the fold, that's fine. You just got one extra stitch to do when we're gonna construct our pocket. We can take care of that right at the machine. Gina is asking, is a small one called a coin pouch? The little piece that I attached? Yeah, we call that a little coin pouch. That's that. Yes. All right. Any other questions about cutting and layout? Sorry for the confusion. This pocket piece, again, I cut it on the fold because it's just easier for me, but it's shown as one long rectangle. And when we go to sew it, we're going to fold it along this line. So that's why I just went ahead and cut it on the fold. It's fine. The zipper is the zipper is 20 inches, I believe. 14 or 20? 14 inch zippers. All right. All right. I'll head on back to the machine. Set our layout to the side in case we need to refer back to it. So if you think of anything else as you go to pull yours out if you're cutting, we still got the layout to the side. All right, let's go to the machine. All right, so if you've got your instructions, you can sew along with me and I will do my best to go follow along as well, just to prevent any type of confusion. We can all be speaking the same language at the same time. Okay, so the first thing we did, we took care of the interfacing. That was our homework last night. The next step talks about the webbing. For the webbing, you received a piece of webbing that was really long, probably at least a yard, if not a yard and a half, maybe a little bit longer. Precise measurements are not that big of a deal at this point, only because with our belt bag, the sliders and the buckles are adjustable. So you'll be able to make it fit however you need it to. But before you cut your webbing, we're gonna think about that rule of thirds that Janet talked about this morning. So we're gonna use 1/3 of the webbing for the shorter edge, and then the 2/3 is the longer edge. So whatever measurement you have, it's not a big deal. Just check your webbing. No need to measure it at this point, but what you'll do, you wanna fold it in 3s. So I'm just gonna fold it, and I wanna look here. Not a very precise measurement, because again, we're gonna adjust it with that buckle. I'm just looping mine over. And so in these creases, like where my middle finger is, that's where my raw edges are. So they meet up. So I know that I have 3 pieces that are exact same length. And I'm gonna just do one cut to release 1/3 of this webbing. So now I've got one shorter piece and one longer piece, okay? So of your entire webbing piece, you want about 1/3 of it on one side and 2/3 on the other. And we're gonna sit these to the side. So everything we need now has been cut and prepped for our project, and we can start sewing. All right, the first thing we're gonna do is assemble that cute little front piece. So if you are piecing scraps together and mixing prints, this is where you'll see how cute your bag's gonna be even from the beginning. And also, depending on your comfort level or how you sew, with this particular project, we chose to sew the lining and the outer together at the same time. So that saves you a step. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that and you can't see, like you can't see on one side of something, take your time, just do one piece at a time, and it's fine. I'll show you where you can do that for our beginners or someone who doesn't feel as comfortable. So I'm gonna start out with piece 2, which is that center front. I've got my lining and my main. And I also wanna find my little side panels, which is piece 3. Which are these pieces. It looks like I decided to patch that, piece it. So here we are with the print mixing there for the front, okay? Now let's go back one step. Before we get all the way into this sewing, there's lots of notches on each of these pattern pieces, and I forgot to talk about that at the cutting table. But if you're looking around like piece 3, I'm looking around the side of the perimeter of piece 3. I see there's 2 notches at the top. There's 4 notches along this curved edge, 2 along the slant, and 2 on the side. These notches, as notches do, are going to let us know where we're connecting pieces together, but they're going to be important because typically, or as you're sewing, you may try to sew pieces together in a straight line and they're flat, but this bag has a curve that you'll notice. So these curved edges need to meet up with other pieces that might not be curved yet. So these notches are going to be important as we do that. So let's snip these notches so that we'll see those when it comes time to use them. So all you want to do, you either can use a marking tool like your chalk, you could use your snippers, you could cut actual triangles into your seam allowance, totally up to you. But just so that it's visible for the purpose of what we're doing today, I will go ahead and snip into the triangles, and I'm cutting or snipping the exact same triangular shape that you see on the notch on the pattern piece. Okay. And not too big, because you don't want to cut beyond the seam allowance, because that's going to leave a slit where it should be fabric that should connect. I'll do it on this one piece. So you'll see what it looks like and why we're doing it. Got some confetti on the floor in front of me. Something else to clean up tonight. Sorry, y'all. Sorry, Makia. All right, so this one is all snipped up. So now you can see, can almost see. Can you all see that? Should I go closer to the, oh, yes, good idea, Maddie. All right, so can you see these little pieces here that are missing? So those are the notches that I just snipped out along the sides. There they are. And I cut both at the same time because they're all from the same pattern piece. And I'll go ahead and snip some from the center front too, just so we'll see how they match up. Lay this pattern piece back on top. And so here you'll see, again, there's one at the top, 4 along this curve. We talked about 4 in another piece, so that might be where something meets up. Keep that in mind. And then 1 here along the bottom. Go ahead and snip. Some people just use one slit in there. And for me, sometimes it's hard to find that on the African prints. So if I'm not using a marking tool, then I would go with these triangle cutouts so that you can actually see it or clearly see it when it's time to attach. And with this piece, it's not listed in the pattern instructions, but we're gonna do it at some point when we go to attach or to construct the bag. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a snip at the top of this fold. So if we're looking at this piece here, what is considered the top of the bag is gonna be this longer or this wider piece. This shorter straight edge is the bottom. So along the top, I'm just gonna put a snip right at the top of that fold, because this is gonna remind me that this is the middle of this piece, and we're gonna need to know where that center is when it's time to attach our zipper. So I just snipped right in this inside of that fold at the top. This is considered the top of the bag. Okay. Any questions as we prep or before we go to sew our first pieces?
What is your seam allowance?
The seam allowance is going to be 1/2 inch. All right, so we are going to start with the outer or the main. We know it's the main because it's interfaced. So with right sides together, I'm going to match the side with the 4 notches to the 4 notches on the side of my center front. That's how I know which is which. This other side only has 2 notches, so that wouldn't be where I connect these 2 pieces. So the 4 notches gets matched up with the 4 notches, like so. And you can use pins or clips, whichever is your preference. There are points in this particular project where I would prefer clips. I'll pull those out when it's time. But here, a couple of pins is fine. You'll notice as you get around the curve, you may need to do a little bit more. It won't lay as flat together because that curve is meeting up there. So you can kind of.
Keisha, what piece numbers are you using again?
I am using piece number 2, which is the center panel, and piece 3, which is our left and right panel. So this is what I'm constructing here.
And you said you were putting a notch at the top.
I cut a notch in the center front, the center of the front piece, center of the center front piece. You can do it now, or I can show you why we did that I just did because I was snipping, I went ahead and snipped anyway.
And are you doing the lining or the main fabric?
I'm doing the main first, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the lining back to back. And right now they're separate. I'm only working with all main pieces right now. So I've got the center front, piece 2, getting attached to 2 3s on either side. And I'm matching the sides with the 4 notches. The side with the 2 notches is laying on towards the inside, right sides together, because I can see my interfacing. And we're gonna sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Our stitch length is a standard 2.5. That's the default on this machine is a 2.5. So we're gonna go with that. And I'm gonna back stitch at the start and stop of each of these stitches. So here's taking your time going around the curve, back stitching at the start and the stop. And this will be your first piece. So you'll notice that it was flat at first, but because we've attached those notches together and I'm sewn along that curve, once we press it out, it's gonna start to build the shape of the bag. It's no longer flat. Can you see that curve there? That's becoming the front of the bag. Let's leave it flat for now. Let's go ahead and do this other side. I'm sewing on the main fabric because I have the interfacing that's on here. And so now I've created the outside of my bag just that quickly. Oh, Deanna, it's okay. If they're not, as long as they work for you, you just need those notches to let you know which piece gets connected where. That's all. And no one's ever going to see them again. After this, nobody's going to see them again because they are inside in the seam allowance and this bag is going to be lined. So you will never see the notches again. I promise. So I poked that out pretty nicely. The instructions tell you that you should go ahead and clip here and press this open. But just for the magic of TV and the sake of time, I'm just going to finger press. I'm going to open this up here, if you can see that. And I'm going to finger press right along here. And what's going to happen, the trimming, either with clips or trims or pink and shears, whatever you choose to use on this, is just going to decrease some of the bulk there. But what we're going to do, when this is laying open flat like this, what we're going to do for a decorative element, we're just going to top stitch right along either side of this seam. I think it just looks nice. Like right now, the bag is going to be cute, but I think it looks much more finished with this decorative top stitch here. So we'll do that next, and that'll help to lay these seam allowances down on the inside. Okay, so let's just top stitch, and I'm gonna stitch right alongside that seam that we made, not in the ditch, but right alongside of it, maybe 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch or so on both sides of this seam. I'll show you that. No need to back stitch here, because this is just a decorative stitch. No construction happening. I'll do both and I'll let you see what they look like. It might be kind of hard to see it with the black and the print, but if you'll see these 2 lines running right along either side of that seam, that's what we just did. So it adds another decorative element to our bag. Do the same thing on the other side. Now, once we go to assemble the lining, we're just going to attach the side pieces, and there's no need for this top stitch because it's inside the bag. So finger press these out, lay them flat.
Marquisha, are you top stitching on both sides of the seam?
Yes. Yes, I am. I'll show it again once I get this pressed out flat. Here we go. So you can't really see it on this particular print. It may look up here on this print. So here's one side, and there it is on the other side. So it looks nice and even. Symmetry is nice. All right, so the same thing, I'm going right alongside that seam. Decorative top stitch, which is at 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch. And depending on the print that you're using, this might be a time to test out some of your decorative stitches on your machine. Or if you choose to leave it out, that's up to you as well. This, again, this is your bag to do it however you'd like. All right, front of my bag is done. And so for now, I'm just going to leave it just like this. We are going to press it at the ironing station with a ham just to seal in that curved shape, give our bag some nice body. But let's go ahead and do this lining. So the exact same thing, exact same pieces, just this time it's the lining fabric. And we know that because they're not interfaced. But I've got piece 2 opening up and then piece 3 going on either side. I didn't snip the notches on all of these, but we do know had we snipped all of them together, where we're gonna line up. So we're lining up that curved side to the outside and the straighter side is on the inside of the bag. So the exact same thing we just did with the first piece or with the outer piece, we're gonna do it with the lining, back stitching at the top and the bottom. Same thing on the right. All right, so now the front of the bag, and it's totally done. Let's go to the ironing board. I'm just going to press these before we go to attach the next piece. So at the ironing board, we are creating this shape or sealing in the shape of this bag, and we want it to stay curved. So we would use a ham to do that. If you haven't used it before, it's already round. It's like a little mound. And then we are going to lay it on a curve. So are there any questions in the chat while we turn over here? Tanya,
oh, turn it around. We've already answered Tanya's question. Turn around so we can see both sides. And what was the second grouping? So that was the, I'm sorry, the lining.
So the lining does not get top stitched. We just assembled those pieces together. And that's the back with the seam allowances. Okay, so Angela, yes, the second grouping sewn was the lining. So we did the exact same thing with the front, piece 2 and piece 3. On the outer, that's interfaced. And then on the lining, we've got piece 2 and piece 3. Only difference is that the outer gets the decorative top stitch because it looks nice. Okay. All right, hope that answered your question. All right, so now I'm just gonna, this curve is already kind of happening, but I'm gonna go ahead and seal that in with this heat. So on this particular ham, there's a little wider piece here that sits perfectly right there. So I'm just gonna hit that curve with some heat to seal that in. And do the same thing on the other side. B. Nelson, yeah, yes, well, no, it doesn't matter. Ideally, the outer pieces would get interfaced because that's the part that's exposed on the bag. But if the lining was interfaced, it should be fine, only because what happens is the interfacing makes the bag more sturdy. It gives it body. So as long as the interfacing is in there, it should be okay. But if you find that it's not, I mean, it's a very small piece of fabric. This can be your first one. It's a tester. And you want to change your mind and do it on the outside, on the lining, on the outer pieces next time, do it that way. All right. So now we've got curves on both pieces. The seams have been sealed in nicely. And while we're here, let's go ahead and assemble for the next step. So our next step, we're going to be attaching the zipper. And so this is where I say it's okay if you feel more comfortable working with one piece at a time. So I'll show you both, but I'm going to sew it with both pieces connecting. So we've got our outer, which is interfaced. We've got our lining, which is all the same print and not interfaced because it's on the inside of the bag, no big deal. So here is our zipper. So this zipper right now, I have it face up because I can see the zipper pull in my left hand. I just want to fold it in half because again, like how we put the snip in the middle of the piece number 2, we're going to put a snip in the middle of the zipper tape to find the center. So this is where the center snip comes in, and that's why that was so important. Because when we align our zipper, we want to be able to make sure that it's evenly distributed along our bag. We don't want more zipper on one side and less on the other, and it's not able to work properly. So I just put little snips, not even maybe 1/4 inch. But the idea is that those snips stay in between the seam allowance. You don't want to go too far down into your zipper tape because it may mess things up for you. But that's how we know the center of the zipper. And we're going to match that up with the center slits that we put when the pattern piece was folded in half. So I know where the center of this was. But if you didn't do that piece, that's fine. You can still fold this piece in half and literally find your center. It's in the same piece as my snip. I just did it because I was snipping. I went ahead and snipped this piece as well. Deanna, you got this. You got this. All right. So I've got the middle of my zipper, the middle of my lining piece, and the middle of my outer. I'm going to line the zipper, make a zipper sandwich, make a quilt sandwich or quilting sandwich this morning. We're going to make a zipper sandwich this afternoon. I'm going to put the right side of the zipper pull facing up, is going to go face down on top of my outer. Repeat that again. So the zipper and the outer are getting sewn right sides together. Right side of my zipper pull goes face down on the right side of my outer, matching up these center snips. So here's a center snip on my zipper pull, center snip on my fabric. Put a pin right there just to hold it in place. If this is your comfort level, go ahead and sew this down and attach it. We're just going to sew this here. Sew the zipper onto the outer. But in the interest of time and just efficiency, I guess, if you feel comfortable, we can just as easily make this sandwich by putting the right side of the lining down on top of this zipper. We make this sandwich here. Okay, I'm going to hold up once I get all 3 pieces together. And now we're just going to make one stitch that's going to attach everything in front of the bag is done. All right, so to repeat, the layers in my sandwich are the outer face up or right side up, the zipper right side down, lining right side down, okay? And we're going to pin all this together. You can make sure that we're lining up the seams. That's how we know this is evenly distributed or matching up perfectly. So I've got the seams, these side seams on piece number 3 are matched up on both pieces. So when you go to pin, you're pinning through a layer of fabric, zipper tape, another layer of fabric, and interfacing. So go ahead and pin, make sure you're pinning through all 4 of those pieces. Okay. Can everybody see that? All right, so what I've got here in my zipper sandwich is my main. The main piece is right side up. Okay. Next layer of my sandwich, my zipper tape. My zipper is right side down. Then my next layer is the lining, also right side down. So we got right side up, right side down, right side down. That's our sandwich. Got it? All right. So now, if you need more pins,
do it again.
One more time. Rewind. One more time. Here we go. To make a zipper sandwich, first you'll need one layer. That is the outer. The outer gets placed down right side up, interfacing on your board. First spread is right side up. That is our outer. Then for the spread or the meat, that's our zipper. That goes right side down. Here's my zipper pull, right side down. So these 2 right sides together with your main and your zipper. That's half your sandwich or 2/3 of your sandwich. The last piece, the last layer of bread is your lining. The lining is faced right side down, okay? Tanya's asking, is it okay if the zipper goes beyond the fabric? Absolutely. I know Tisha has shared with us many times in many different zipper projects that most times you do want a zipper to be even longer than your project. That way you can adjust it as you need to. You definitely don't want it to be too short. You don't want it to be shorter than your project. So here, where it's extending beyond my fabric piece, thank you, Glenn. Where it's extending beyond my fabric piece is we're going to trim that off once we go to attach the other pieces. So we'll get there. But yes, having it outside, we can see that it's evenly centered. We can see that our zipper pull is facing the right way. So I know that I have this right side down because my zipper pull is on the bottom. And I know that everything lines up nicely. All right, so this is where we're about to go and sew this sandwich. I'm going to have our zipper attached to the front of our bag. Any questions before we go to the machine and sew? All right, we're going to the machine. All right, here at the machine, you may, if you are comfortable and if your machine allows you to, depending on how wide your presser foot is, you may go ahead and sew with the foot that you have on your machine. For me, this presser foot is a little bit wider than where I can see or where I feel comfortable. And I might bump up against that zipper tape. So I'm going to switch it out for our zipper foot. And I know that Tisha has given us valuable instruction on how to use this foot properly. Hopefully I do her proud. I was going to reattach this zipper foot. And this morning we sewed it with Janet, same thing. So with the zipper, if the zipper head is in your way, you can unzip it and move it out of the way to get yourself started. It's fine. If it's not a problem, go ahead and start sewing. But we're going to sew along the zipper tape. Oops, sorry, my flower was blocking. We're going to sew along the zipper tape all the way across to the other end, from one end to the other, right along the zipper tape, not sewing through the zipper teeth. So I'll show you where that lines up in the machine. Okay. So I've got all, and you want to make sure you have all three layers too. You don't want to lose anything along the way. So when I go to put this under my zipper foot, if it'll stay, I press that down. You can see this here. Under my zipper foot, there is the zipper tape. The teeth of the zipper are right along the outside of my zipper foot. So I'm just going to sew right along that side. I can feel it under this fabric. So I make sure that I don't sew into the teeth. Okay. Let's go ahead and attach our zipper. Also back stitching at the start and stop. Take your time. If your machine feels like this is getting to be a lot of layers, and it will be soon, take your time. You don't want to upset your machine in the middle of a project. Okay, so now we have assembled the front of our bag. And what we'll do here, right now it's on the wrong sides. What we'll do here is we'll expose the zipper and end up turning it right side out. Give it another quick finger press. If you'd like to take it to your machine and press it, you may. It just adds to make it even more crispy. But be careful to avoid the nylon teeth on your nylon zipper as you're putting that heat to it. You assemble this zipper inserted this zipper so nice that I'd hate for it to melt. You need to start it all over again. I'm just going to finger press it, making sure everything stays down. And as you're sewing it, you can even hold on to this line to make sure that it stays out of your way. But right now we're going to put a top stitch again, just to keep consistent with those decorative top stitches on the outside of our bag. We're going to put one right along the top of this piece where the zipper tape connects to the front of the bag. Okay. I'm going to leave the zipper foot on for this too, so I can see where I am. If you need to turn your curve back the other way to get a better grip on your fabric, that's fine. Either way is fine. But also just make sure that your lining stays in. If your lining starts to pucker up and you didn't press it, make sure that stays down and out of your way. You don't want to end up sewing that into your zipper teeth. That wouldn't be functional. No need to backstitch here. This is a decorative stitch. So right along this edge. Right? If you can see that there. Here's our decorative top stitch, running all the way along the front of our bag. And so now the front has been assembled. This is the entire front of the bag. Any questions about assembling the front? Because if not, we're going to keep moving. And now we're moving on to the sides. Oh, no, sorry. We're going to attach the top. Let's do the top while we're here. So the exact same process that we just did. We got a zipper sandwich on the bottom of our zipper. Now we're going to make a zipper sandwich on the top. Yes, Shelly, I will go over the zipper sandwich again because we're going to make a zipper sandwich on top of the zipper tape. So it's the exact same process. So if the zipper sandwich was on the bottom, doing the exact same thing on the top. This time, it's just with 2 pieces of fabric that haven't been patched. So I'll show you. Let me grab my tops, which are piece number 5. Piece number 5. And piece number 5, you can see the notches here, there's little slants right at the top of your fold, the top and the bottom of your fold. So this is how we're going to find the center of our top. And there's one more notch here on the side. Okay. Let me snip these in so we can see them. All right. Let's get these snips so we know where our centers are. And here's another little snip. Once you go to put these pieces together, you'll see how they line up. Now for this particular piece, this piece is probably the most interesting to piece together because we've got this curve that needs to get attached to this straight edge, right? So that may seem a little tricky at first. Oh my goodness, look at my, my notches are huge. I don't know how that happened, y'all, sorry. Hopefully it works out. All right, so here's my top. So I know that that's the center. I got this huge V in front, but the center of this curve matches up with the center of my zipper tape. And I'm gonna make this curve meet up all the way along this zipper. Now, what you can do to help yourself out, let's go ahead and unzip the zipper because it's gonna be kind of hard to get these pieces to match up. You're gonna be pulling and pinching, but I find that sometimes the zipper is unzipped, that this piece is a little bit more pliable and it works to get these curves meeting up. So same thing with the zipper sandwich. We've got a top layer, the zipper in the middle, lining on the bottom. And the reason we're doing it that way is because these pieces need to match up. She says we're assembling the bag. I need my top outer to meet up with my front outer. I would not want my lining on this part of the bag. So I want to eventually sew these pretend the right side together. That makes sense. Okay. So for the zipper sandwich this time, I've got my top. I've got my zipper, which is it's right side up by default because I've got the right side of my bag up. Meeting up in the middle. And then my lining piece. Also right side up. So for this particular zipper sandwich, we've got the outer is right side down, meeting up with the zipper, which is right side up. The lining is also right side up. It only sounds different or it's reversed because my bag is reversed. I did the sandwich this way the first time, okay? So it's the exact same thing, just the pieces are on the other side, okay? So essentially, we're sewing right sides together, right? So we've got the right side of the outer and the right side of the lining together. I'm just sticking the zipper on the inside, and the zipper has to be right side up because I need the outside of my zipper, where my zipper pull is, I need to be able to access that. So that needs to meet up with the outside of my bag or the right side of my bag, okay? So if you start out with your bread, your lining and your outer are right sides together, okay? We're gonna put that zipper right in the middle. And at this point, if you have the right side of your bag facing up, your zipper is automatically right side up because we've already sewn that down. So again, right sides together with my fabric. I'm going to slide my zipper tape in here also right side up by default, meeting everything in the middle. And I'm going to pin this. And again, that curve may be tricky, but with our zipper unzipped, now we should be able to line these up. So the raw edges of my two top pieces and the outside of my zipper tape all get lined up together. Same way we did on the bottom or for the top. Put a few pins in there, following along this curve. And also, again, the zipper tape will extend beyond these pieces, and that's perfectly fine. That's what we want. I put a couple pins down this other side, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's all pinned together. All right, so the zipper sandwich for the top of our bag has now been assembled. And just to recap, I've got the front of my bag is already attached to the zipper. So I know that this is my outer, this is the front of my bag. And so the zipper pull is also gonna be out here because I've already sewn that down. So my top zipper sandwich has the outer with the zipper tape and the lining. Okay, because I want to sew right sides together with the outer and the lining. I'm just sliding that zipper piece up inside with the right side up. Okay, still have our zipper foot on, and we're still going to sew to attach. I just want to make sure I'm getting my fabric where it's supposed to be. I want to get all three pieces lined up together. And we're back stitching at the start and stop. As I'm sewing around this curve or along this zipper tape, I should be able to feel where those zipper teeth are. And I want to be sure to avoid those as I'm connecting this sandwich. And it looks like here is a piece where the zipper tape slid down a little bit further. If you need to use more pins to prevent that, by all means, go right ahead. But the idea is that you sew through all three layers, well, 4 layers, including your interfacing. Sew through all 4 layers at the same time. If this becomes difficult for you, by all means, you can do it with 1 layer at a time. That's fine too. You'll get to the same result, just in an additional step, that's all. All right, so now the second zipper sandwich has been sewn. This is my top or the lid of my bag. Once I fold it back to expose my zipper, what you should see is the outer on top with a zipper along the edge and then a lining on the back. Okay, if I zip it closed, do a test, make sure I didn't sew through any of the zipper teeth. The zipper moves freely. And if you can see, the bag is taking shape. Okay. All right, so from here, are there any questions? Now we got the front of our bag assembled. Any questions? Because now we're moving to the sides. We got the front, we're gonna do the sides next. Nope. Yes, Carrie.
So some people are still lost in this assembly, I guess. Is what's
Okay.
in here. Maybe you can just walk through it like the sandwich on the second part you put on with the zipper.
Okay, let's go to the cutting table. I can maybe show it in a bigger space with some other pieces.
Someone mentioned, what if you sewed through the teeth? I know you mentioned that earlier, and they also want to know, are we going to top stitch that?
Yes, we will. Yes, we are going to top stitch. So if you are ready to move on, the next step will be to top stitch right along the zipper tape, just like we did with the bottom part of the bag. All right, looks like I might be missing a piece, but let's, here's one of the sample pieces here. It's just pinned, so we can talk about this part here for the sandwich. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right, so here we have sewn, this is where the front of the bag was already connected. This is the lining. It's been attached to the zipper. If we were starting from here, oh, it's been top stitched, you can't see. All right, so here we got the bottom of the bag. Let's do the zipper sandwich on top. Okay, so this is the bottom of the front of the bag. For the zipper sandwich, think about when we're sewing, whenever, for the most part, when we're sewing garments or assembling pieces together, we're gonna sew with right sides together. So in order to do that, I've got the right side, which matches my outer, and it's interface. I know that's the outer. So I'm just gonna put this right sides together. So the right side of the front of my bag matches up with the right side of the lid of my bag or the top of my bag. Then if I were sewing my lining, again, I want to sew with right sides together. I mean, with this rich African print sold at sewcreativelounge.com, many of the prints, you can't tell the right side from the wrong side. They're both so richly printed and it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to say that this is my front, this is my back, or my right side and my wrong side. And again, I want to sew right sides together. So this is the right side of my lining. I'm going to meet it up with the right side of my top. Okay, so I've got right sides together. If I were just sewing this lid, I would be sewing right sides together, but we've got to get a zipper inside of there. So I've got the right side of my linings that are meeting up. I want the right sides of my outer also meeting up. And then with the zipper, depending on which piece you're sewing, so right here, it's already been attached. But if you were starting from scratch, you want the right side of your zipper to be on the outside of your bag, because in order for you to unzip it while you're wearing it, you need to be able to access the zipper pull. So think about that zipper pull needs to meet up with your outer fabrics some kind of way. So in order for that to happen, you would want to put the right side of your zipper with the right side of your outer fabric. Let me grab one just to demo. Okay. So with our zipper, we need to be able to access this zipper pull as we're wearing the bag. So this is considered the right side of our zipper. This is the right side of my main. This is the right side of my lining. Same thing with my bag. Right side of my main, right side of my zipper, right side of my lining. So I want to start out by sewing right sides together. The right side of my main needs to meet up with the right side of my main, just like this. Right sides together. The right side of my lining, maybe we could put a marker in here so we know that's the wrong side. Okay, so the right side of my lining needs to meet up with the right side of my lining. So the wrong side is down, right sides to right sides. And we're calling it a sandwich because there's pieces together and something in the middle. Okay, so here, the right side of my top meets up with the right side of my outer, right side's the right side, and the zipper is also right side up. Any questions?
You just actually answered mine. So the right side of each piece will meet the right side of the other piece. For example, the main of main, and the lining of the lining. And the zipper will be in the middle.
Yes. And the zipper is right side up on the main. So yes, for the fabric, right sides to right sides. For the zipper, the right side of the zipper is meeting the right side of your main because it's going to be on the outside of your bag where you can pull that zipper to open and close it. It's good. Zipper sandwich demo. Anybody else? We're good on that one? Okay, I hope that answers the question. Once you get to assemble it and you kind of play around with it, it'll make sense. Because if you think about it, if I were to use this side as the outside of my bag, or if this was a zipper, there's no way I can open this bag. The zipper pull is on the wrong side. So we know that the zipper pull has to be on the right side of the bag. It has to meet up with the outside of the bag. There's no other way to attach that zipper. So wherever you are with your sandwich, once the fabrics are right sides together, you want the right side of your zipper pull to meet up with the right side of your outer fabric. I see a thumbs up in the chat. We good? All right. Let's keep going. We're going to attach some sides. Now we've got about a third of a bag together. Let's attach these sides. We can stay at the cutting table to attach the sides. All right, so this is what we've got so far. This is the inside of my bag that's been lined. And this is the outside of my bag with the patchwork, the different prints showing up. And so now we want to attach the sides of the bag. We're now working on these two pieces. Okay. All right. So here, this is piece number 4. Again, there are notches. I think I was moving too fast and cut those notches very deep. I'm not going to cut any notches this time. But just so you know, when you're making yours, you want to cut these 2 notches on this slightly curved edge. You're going to cut these 2 notches on the shorter edge, and on this slant, there's 1 notch at the bottom. So what you'll be looking forward to, these 2 notches here, these are going to be important. This is where our webbing is going to go. So keep that in mind. This is the marking for our webbing, basically. All right, but now just to attach. So same process. We're making sandwiches all day long, just sandwiches with this bag. So I've got 2 linings, 2 outers, and they're going to meet up this piece of the bag. Okay, so you'll remember along this side piece number 3, there were 2 notches here. So we want to have our side piece to have the notches on there to match up with those. So we're going to match notches here, just like that. Right sides together again. Making another sandwich, but this time we're going to put the outer with the outer, lining with lining, and our zipper is already sandwiched on the inside. So no need to worry about right side, wrong side with the zipper this time. It's already there. All we're doing is sandwiching that zipper and basically our bag in between these 2 side pieces, which is piece number 4. So just to repeat that process, I'm matching my outers with my outers. Got the outside of my bag with the outside piece on this side piece number 4, right sides together, matching up the 2 notches along the side. And then I'm also going to take the lining piece and do the exact same thing. All right. So we're going to pin those and we're going to sew right down the sides. Are there any questions? All right. So let's do both. We like to do lots of the process where we do repetitive motions of the same thing before we go. So we're going to pin, and then we're going to go sew.
Go ahead and repeat that one more time.
Sure. All right, let's lay it back out. We've got our bag. We've got our side piece, which is piece number 4. And in piece number 4, we've got 2 mains and 2 linings. Let me go ahead and snip these notches, y'all. Please make me be careful and not snip through it like I did last time. I need to keep snips so that you all can see where we're matching things up. Okay. I'm just going to put one quick little snip right here because I don't trust my hand anymore. To here. Little snips. And again, we're meeting, those curves are meeting up on the side. So we got piece number 4, and we're sewing our bag with right sides together. So what I'm gonna do, and again, if the sandwich doesn't work for you, sew one piece. Take your outer, sew it down. Get your lining piece, sew it down. And then you've created the side of your bag. But for this one, and the instructions will guide you through it, we're gonna go ahead and sew both pieces at the same time. So I'm gonna curve this back in just to make it lay nicely for my side piece. But I've got one side and I'm matching notches. I know that this short side doesn't match because those notches are very close together. But here, these notches are spread out to match these notches, which are also spread out. So I am matching right sides to right sides. With the outer, right sides to right sides with my lining. Okay. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna sew straight down the side with the sandwich. The zipper is already there. No need to add that to our sandwich. It's already there. All right, Deborah, you got it. Gonna pin my piece number 4 to my main with all the right sides together. So if you see now, we're also assembling, getting more and more layers together for this bag. So be gentle with your machine, take your time, because it's gonna get a lot thicker as you push through. Okay, so got that pinned. And as you're pinning, keep in mind that these are, so many pieces are curved. And so they may not lay right where you place it. So you might have to curve your fabric or lift that up as you're curving, as you're pinning it, the pieces together. One other note at this point, where my left hand is on my zipper pull, let's go ahead and open up this zipper a little bit, shall we? As we all know what happens when we don't do that, at least our members do. Been there, done that. No need to repeat that process today. But I want to put let's put a pin in here just to hold it together for us, okay? Or if you have a clip, you can do that too. That's going to help to hold our zipper together since it's open now. Just going to clip that in together right there. And that just while I go to pin it. So now I'm going to put my right side with my right sides.
Rakisha, is this top to bottom or zipper to bottom?
Top to bottom or zipper to bottom? Top. Wait, what do you mean by bottom? Who's that asking? Can you ask it again? Top to bottom or zipper to bottom? Not sure I understand, Tracy. Ask me one more time. Or I'll talk it through. Maybe as you're typing your question again, maybe I'll answer it for you. So I've got the outside of my bag. This is considered the front, and this is the top. This is the top piece, which is piece number 5, I think. What's the top? Piece number 5 was the top. And so I'm attaching sides now. We're on piece number 4. Yes. Okay, so we've got top, front, and sides. So I've got the top, which is piece number 5. This is all considered one side. So I'm going to attach piece number 4 to both the top and the front of the bag. That makes sense. Okay. So again, right sides together, outers with outers, right sides together, matching notches. And here again, be mindful of that zipper. We've got it open right now, so it might start to gape a little bit. Keep that together as you go to pin, and you want to match up those notches along the sides. So I'll put a pin there. Oh, let's do lining sides. So with the lining, also right sides to right sides. Matching notches and pinning.
And they will be sewing over the zipper, correct?
Yes, we're going to sew right through that zipper tape. So that's why it's so important to pull that zipper head back so it's not in the way or the path of our sewing machine. All right. Once everything is pinned down and in place, might have to start to curve it a little bit down at the bottom. But as you know, your bag is going to be curved, and that's okay. Come on, hang in there, Deanna. You're in the right place. You got probably 500 helpers in the chat. So you're good to go. All right, so let's go take it to the machine. Got our sides. They're pinned down. We made side sandwiches with the existing zipper. We're going to sew this down to create the sides of the bag. I'll see y'all at the machine. All right, so exact same process. We're going to take our time. If your zipper foot is there, you can use it. I think I'll go ahead and switch it out because we're not doing any more anything along the zipper tape anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and swap it out. Go back to my universal foot. And take your time because we're at the middle. Here we're going to get close to we're going to go sew through the zipper teeth. And as we're sewing through those teeth, it's going to be a little bit thicker. Your machine or your needle might not like it at first. So take your time, especially when you get to that point. And if for some reason your zipper doesn't extend as far as mine does, please be mindful and be careful that the metal zipper stops are away from your path that your seam allowance you're going to sew through, because you don't want to hit that metal with your zipper. We can sew through the nylon teeth, but you don't want to hit the metal of the zipper stop. So here my stop is far to the right of where my seam allowance or my stitch line would be. So we're good on this. Okay. Come on, Angela, hang in there. We're almost done. After these sides, we're going to do the back, and that's the bag, the belt in the back, and we're done. You got it, Angela. Thank you, Stacy. Folks in the chat, can you please give Angela some encouragement? She's trying to tap out. I know it's been a long day, but we're at the finish line. We're in the home stretch. We can see the finish line. And Angela, you can do this. We're almost there. Rebecca wants to know what's the make and model of our machine. This is our Brother SE 1900. Brother was a sponsor at our previous conference, and they gave us this beautiful machine here that we use for special occasions. So I'm just taking my time, sewing right down and along this curve. Back stitching where we start and stop. And so what you'll see, the bag is even getting closer to being finished. Look at this, Angela. You see a whole half a bag right here? Look at that. You're almost there. That's right, Monica. Great idea, Stacy. And Stacy says, take notes if you ready to tap out. Take notes, and that way you can still know what we're doing. That's okay. Take notes, but don't tap out. Stay here with us. We're almost there. And you can see from start to finish. And that may help you when you go to finish yours. It's fine. All right, I'm going to sew this other side straight down. Get some of these pins out of the way. I forgot how to pin in my zipper tape. Let's get that out of there. And we're going to sew straight down. We're still using that same 1/2 inch seam allowance. Here I got the clip on the end of my zipper tape, making sure it stays together. Once you get to the zipper teeth, just slow down, take your time, and then keep going. All right, so now get that clip out of the way. And here,
Hey, Markeisha.
Yes.
This project, could you make two, you know how when you do a bag, are you able to do the two pieces, like do the lining separate and then do the main piece and then put it together with the zipper? Is this project, is it possible to do that?
You probably could. I think that with this particular, the way this bag is assembled though, I worry that once you get to this side piece for sure, that it may not sit inside. And for me, I haven't had enough experience with bags to figure out that zipper all the time. So maybe if you're when you've sewn the one bag, and when you tuck, I guess, what do you call it? When you try to finish that side around the zipper, you could do it that way, I think. Give it a try and let us know as customer care or in the Facebook group whether it worked that way for you. But I thought for me, in my mind, as I'm making bags, like how we make our reversible tote bags and things like that, where we make the two bags and put them together, intuitively, that's what I wanted to do. But when I saw this technique, I thought that I liked this one even better because for me, not that it's necessarily that it's quicker, but I feel like it's efficient. So instead of making two bags, I sew one bag and I sew a whole nother bag. Here, with each piece, instead of making two I have to sew two fronts and I have to sew two backs. But with this particular technique, I sew both pieces of front at the same time, if that makes sense. So I feel like to me, this way is a little bit more efficient. And yes, you may top stitch the sides, Tanya. Absolutely. I was talking and forgot to top stitch my top. But yes, anything on the front of your bag, go ahead and top stitch. It looks nice and it's consistent with what we've already done. Hope that answered your two bag method question. It may be a preference thing, maybe it's something to try out. But for me, I think this technique is efficient. It may not work with all bags. I think that because with our reversible bags, we want all those seams to be concealed or we need to be able to move and maneuver on the inside. We're not going to reverse this belt bag. So we wouldn't necessarily need to make it in that fashion. So this works for that. And again, be careful as you get to intersections where there's lots of things like your zipper teeth. And now that we folded this fabric back, there's even another layer for your machine to push through. So take your time. All right. So now that I know everything is secure on the inside, here is the whole front of our bag from the sides to the top and the front to that other side. Now that we know everything is nice and secure on the inside, if you'd like, if it's in your way, if it's cumbersome for you, you can go ahead and snip that away to clear out some of that bulk. But I found that in our bag that maybe it's going to add, just give you some more security or give it some more bulk into the bag to make it more, I guess, substantial. But you can clip all that away if you'd like. No problems with the curves there, the seam allowance, but you can clip it away if you like. But if not, it's concealed on the inside, so it's not a big deal to get rid of it. Okay. Any questions? Because now we're going to do our strap, attach the front and the back. Attach the back, and then we're done. Stability. Yes. Thank you, Vernice. Had a hard time calling that word. Absolutely. That's what I'm looking for. All right. All right. So I'm going to set this to the side. Let's deal with our straps now. For the straps, I'm going to move to the cutting table so you can see that really well. For this particular part, if you're following along and taking notes on the instructions, we are on step 5, which is the hardware. And so if you remember at the beginning, we had our longer piece of fabric and we cut 1/3 of it away. So I've got one piece that's a shorter segment, and I've got one piece that's a much longer segment. And so here is where we're going to do some kind of folds and attaching and things. But I want you to watch first, and then we'll take it to the machine to sew, and I'll pin some things and show some things. But what we're doing, this 3-part situation, is how we're going to be able to make our bag adjust to fit our waist. Okay? So we got one piece that has 2 prongs on it. We're going to call this piece the male piece. We've got one piece where there's a slot. We'll call that piece the female. And then we've got this buckle piece. I think it may be called a tri-glide in your instructions. All 3 of these are the assembly to get us the adjustments that we need on our waistband when we're going to wear our bag.
Hey, Rakisha, you said it was a 14-inch zipper that you were using. Can someone use a shorter zipper like a 13.5?
You could. The main thing when you're attaching the zipper, what you want to be careful with or to watch out for, let me show you on this piece here. All you want to make sure that you're able to sew through here without hitting any metal, if that makes sense. So this one was a little bit longer. Our zipper extends beyond where we needed it to connect. So all the metal pieces they're beyond where the path that your machine would take to sew and connect those fabric pieces. So if you're using a shorter zipper, be careful that there's no metal pieces there, or maybe that's an instance where you add a little fabric tab to give you that extension that you need within this zipper space so that you don't sew through any metal. That could be an option.
And someone wants to know, are you putting it in a pocket?
We are. Of course, we're putting it in a pocket. That's going to be on the back. We're almost there. That's piece number 6. We're not going to forget about piece number 6. That's our last piece. All right. The length for the straps again. So you have at least 1 yard of webbing. Whatever size webbing that you have, it's at least 1 yard. If it's a little bit longer, that's fine too. But what you want to do with your webbing is make sure that you have one piece that's shorter or about 1/3 of that length. So of the entire piece, you want to have 1/3 that's shorter and then 2/3 for the remainder. And I'll show you why. So what we did, we had that one long piece. And all I did, we folded it into 3s or folded it over 3 times. And we cut 1 snip so that we can remove that 1/3. Okay. So for this example, they're not all the exact same length, but for my particular webbing, this one is 31 inches. And this other piece is just over 15. Okay. If you were using 1 yard, and when I was making the samples, I found that the 1 yard of fabric fit up to about a large or a 1X. If your waist is any larger than that, if it's a 2X or a 3X, you may want to use additional webbing. So we just cut all pieces of webbing, or at least 1 yard, 1.5 yards that were included in the kits. But if you're cutting your own materials, you definitely want to have at least 1 yard of fabric, and you're going to use 1/3 of it for one piece, 2/3 of it for the other piece. Okay. All right. So let's get this hardware attached. In order to do that, so again, these are our pieces. We got a male piece that has 2 prongs, the female piece that's more solid with the slot, and then we also have the buckle. Okay. We're going to start with the male piece. This piece gets attached to the shorter pieces of webbing. And that's pretty straightforward. All we're going to do, let me clean this up a little bit. All we're going to do is feed one end of the webbing through the back of this buckle piece up and over. So here, let's look at the anatomy of this buckle. So here are the prongs. This is how we're going to close up the buckle when we wear it around our waist. There's a little bar inside this piece here. This is where we're going to put the webbing up and over. Okay. So when I say I'm going to feed that webbing inside, I'm going inside, up, and over this bar right here. Okay. So what that looks like, going in, going up, and we'll go back over. Okay, so we just fed that through. But as it is, it's not going to stay very well when you start tugging on it to adjust it. So let's figure out how we're going to close that. This raw edge is just going to get tucked under maybe about a half an inch or so, twice. So I'm pull a little bit of this out, and I'm going to take about a finger's worth, maybe about 1 inch, fold that over, and I'll fold it again. So I end up with this little bump kind of fold, if you can see that there. Okay, so this is going to be my stopper. I'm just going to slide that back along the buckle. And we're going to stitch this in place. But for now, while we're here assembling all the pieces, I'm going to put a pin there to hold it. Okay. Maybe I'll use clips because that's a little thick and my pen doesn't like it. So I'm going to use a clip to hold that in place for now. Okay, so that's one. The next piece, these 2 pieces are both going to get attached to this longer piece. So let's start with the buckle. Same process. We're going to take our webbing up and over. That'll be the first step. So that goes up and over, okay? So this is how we're gonna adjust the length of it, right? So that's just sliding in place. Then we'll take our female piece, and this only has one buckle piece or one bar to go over, but we're gonna do the same thing. No, wait, yes. We're gonna go over, just over on this piece. Okay. And so now our female piece, all right, is on the webbing. But now to secure that one, we need to go back through this slider piece. So this might be where it gets a little tricky. So stop what you're doing, just watch what we're doing together. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take this one piece. I've got to go up inside of this contraption here and come back out. All right, so it sounds like it might be a lot, but here we go. So we're just making a little loop, and you might need to loosen this up away from the buckle some. Okay, so you got space in there where that bar is. You got space in there where you can go back up and over again. All right, so let's hold this here. Got my raw edge. I want to take that inside. We're going to go up and over. Y'all following me? So right now, start over before I get inside. Then I can't pull it back out. All right, so we've got our female piece and our buckle. All right, I'm going to my left hand, closest to the female piece. I'm going to take this raw edge. I'm putting it under the buckle. Okay, so the buckle, I can't get quite in there yet, so I got to give myself some room. Let's just slide that up and out of the way where you can see the bar, you can have access to it. Okay, so now I'm going to take this raw edge. We're going to go inside, up, and over. Just like we did with all the other bars, we're still going up and over. Can you see that on the inside? Let me get my hands out of the way. Can y'all see that? So the raw edge from the buckle, we went up and over. Right under the webbing that was already in the buckle. All right, third time is the charm. I see lots of got it's in the chat. Good. So if someone is still fumbling with their buckle and they can't type got it yet, I'm gonna do it one more time, and then we're gonna pin and get to the machine. All right, so I'm gonna go back to where we've got the slider and the female piece. Yes, I love all these got it's in the chat. Let's do this, we got it now. So I'm gonna go quickly through. All right, slider, female piece. All we're trying to do is get up and over again, making room under the slider, taking this piece right beside the female piece, taking this raw edge, going in so that I can go up and over. Going inside along the slider, going up and over that bar. Okay. Should look something like that right now. All right, let's keep going. So now we just need to secure this piece in the same way that we did with the male piece. We're gonna take this raw edge and just tuck it twice. And so we're gonna sew it to this piece, okay? And then we're gonna play around with some adjustments. So again, tucking it about 1 inch or so, twice. 1 inch, 2 inches. Got that little bundle there. And I'm gonna attach it to the piece of webbing that's closest to it on my right hand. Okay, so just put a pin or a clip or something in here right now. Actually put a pin, because I want us to play around with this. Put a pin in here. I'm gonna put a longer pin. So now you know that it's attached properly when you can slide it to make that adjustment around your waist, right? So put a pin in there so that doesn't come apart on you. And I'm gonna put a pin in this one so that we can, so we can go ahead and make that adjustment. So this is where that length that you got, we're gonna make sure that it's sufficient for your waist. Some there may be more, some maybe more webbing than what you'd actually need. Some there may be not quite enough. So you might get a different piece of webbing. So let's just make sure we're gonna pretend we're putting our bag on, because our bag is gonna get attached to these raw edges, and the buckle is what gets closed. So let's go ahead and close the buckle. And then go ahead and put it around your waist.
Someone needs to see the female tuck and roll again.
The tuck and roll, I like that technique. Is that another t-shirt we need to make, Carrie? Yeah. Tuck and roll, tuck and roll. All right. Luckily, I was trained in the Teacher School of Project Preparation, and I've got a few extra buckles at my disposal. So we need to see the tuck and roll on the female. That we need. All right, we don't need that one. Tuck and roll. Okay, here we go. Let's tuck and roll, shall we? Get the male piece out of the way. We're gonna tuck and roll on this female piece. All right, so with the female piece, we've got raw edge in my left, female piece is sliding in the middle, and we've got the slider to my right. All right. For the tuck and roll, let's tuck first. We'd like to be able to tuck those left side under the buckle, but right now it's taut. There's no space to tuck it. So in order to tuck, we got to wiggle, wiggle, slide that down to create some space in here. We need space. Okay. Now I'm going back to my left side. Here comes the tuck. Taking the raw edge with this buckle on the inside. It has a bar, just like our male and female pieces did. See that bar on the inside? I think that's it right there. There we go. So there's the bar. Oh, thank you. Want to try it? Thank you, Maddie. All right, so can you see the bar on the inside? There's a shadow on the top. There we go. The bar is in the middle. We need to tuck and roll over this bar. So I'm going to take this piece that's beside the female piece, take it on the inside, tuck it. We're going to go to that far right side of the buckle, pull it up, and we're going to go back down, up and over on the left side of the buckle. Everybody see that? Sliding it down. So now that it's securely tucked, part 2 is the roll. We did the tuck, let's do the roll. We're going to take about a 1-inch piece of this raw edge, roll it once, roll it twice, and then secure it along the right side, the one piece that's closest to that roll. Secure it here. Okay. The set says she's got it. Love seeing those guidance in the chat. I'm gonna put a pin right here. That way it's gonna be secure. And you wanna double check to make sure that it's been tucked and rolled properly. You know that when you're able to slide it to adjust. You can make this adjustment on the length. You know, your slider works. Good, I see some more guidance. Thanks, Melissa. All right. Awesome. Perfect. Great. All right, let's go. So we've done tuck and roll to the side. Now we're ready to make sure that our belt is going to fit us properly. So here, this slider, on the male side, this one piece, this is static. This is what it is. We can't make any adjustments here unless we were to cut some off because it's too long. On the female side, we can adjust this slider up and down to see how much longer or how much shorter we can make this entire belt piece. So what I want you to do is clip it together in the front and then adjust it and just kind of wrap it around your waist. I don't know if you're able to see the black belt along the black shirt, but you want to wrap it around your waist and it should not touch at all because we're going to have a whole bag in here, right? So as you're adjusting it, just make sure that if you were to adjust it to the smallest segment, which would be almost at the end, of your belt, that it wouldn't be too big. And if it feels like it is, we can snip some off of the edge. So let's get our bag piece too. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. So if we were attaching, let's just pretend, this is just to give us an idea. With this around my waist, I just want to make sure that with these sides pulled taut and the slider adjusted to where it needs to be, that it wouldn't be too loose on my waist. So here, I've got it almost to the smallest part, and the bag is about maybe an inch or two away from my body. So keeping that in mind, if you want to try to snip it now, you can. But what I would suggest doing is adjusting it once we get it. Let's pin it to the bag so we can make sure that we don't cut too much off. Okay. Any questions about that adjustment? Just want to make sure. Got it. Lots of got it. Okay, great. Looks like I still need to attach one more side piece and then we'll get to this webbing. All right, let's go back to the sewing machine. Oh, All right. So here we are. Let's just secure the belt for now. And when we're in securing the belt or closing off the belt, those pieces that we've tucked, the rolls that we've tucked, we want to sew those in place. So here on the male piece, we're just going to sew along this fold here, maybe up and back 2 or 3 times just to secure, because of course there's going to be lots of tension at this place or pulling and tugging. So you want to make sure it's tight. So just go up and back a couple of times. And then along the slider piece, we want to do the same thing, but this time, move this piece out of the way. We're only going to sew it to that one piece where it's pinned. So we're going to do the same thing, sewing up and back 2 or 3 times along the place where it's pinned. So let's start with this piece. You may find that you have some difficulty getting your webbing under your presser foot with that plastic hardware under the foot. Try adjusting the webbing on either side, because on my home machine, this little knob here, this little release knob on the side, it's on the right. Here it's on the left. And so I would have put my plastic hardware opposite where this piece is so they don't bump up against each other as I'm pushing this webbing through the machine. So you'll see that here. I've got the buckle on my right, and this is the fold. I'm going to sew up and down 2 or 3 times. Take your time, because again, this is a thick piece. You don't want your machine to get upset. 3rd time, and then back stitch, cut it off. And so now this piece has been secured, ready for attaching to our bag. Let's go ahead and attach this piece or secure this piece. We switch sides right now.
Should they use a thicker needle when going through webbing, like maybe like jean?
You could. That may make it easier for you. Yeah, absolutely. But I'm still using the 14 and taking.
Do you need to use any fray check before sewing?
No, you won't have to with this project. And that's the reason why we did that tuck and roll. Once we've tucked it and rolled it, those raw edges are on the inside. And once we've stitched it up, if you can see here, you can't even see the raw edges. They're up inside of here. So you don't have to. I mean, you could. Actually, maybe with this nylon, it might even be better just to burn it. And that way it would melt and kind of secure itself if you had to. But I think that sewing it is fine for this piece. And then these raw edges are going to get attached to the bag. So there's no need for that at all. This is going to be on the inside of your bag, never to be seen from again once you sew them up. Great question. Thank you for asking. All right, let's go ahead and secure this piece. So did you hear that? How my machine didn't like that plastic right there first? Take your time, keep it out of the way. One more time for good measure. All right, cut that off. All right, and so now our belt has been assembled. Put that to the side for now. And let's do our back. get your lining for your back. Let's bring both pieces over. That's my main because it's, oh no, that's not my main. This is my main because it's been interfaced. And this is my lining. This is piece number 1. We're working on the back. We want to put that pocket on. Someone asked in the chat, are we going to have a pocket? Of course, we're going to have a pocket, which is piece number 6. So piece number 6 is going to get attached to the lining. And if you've sewn with us before, you know the So Creative way for these pockets is to attach it.
Rakisha, can you show the belt one more time, please?
Sure. Maddie, can you call Tisha for a second, please? Sure. You said female side for sewing it or for actually attaching it? So when we sewed it on the female side, you want to know how to sew this this piece here that's under the slider? So what we did, the piece that we tucked and rolled, all we did was where the piece that was pinned to, we're going to sew that down. Oh, one second.
Rakisha, while she's doing that, can you explain what the little black button explain what the little black button do when sewing again? I don't remember a button being on there.
Which little black button?
Class, maybe?
Is it on the machine or is it on our bag?
I'm not sure. This came from Myra.
Myra, can you
the machine?
Little black button on the machine. The foot? Oh, Miss Paulette, shout out this piece here. Is that what you're talking about, Myra? Miss Paulette is saying that this is like the ankle on the oppressive foot. So this is our foot. This will be the ankle. We're going to bring a camera angle so you can see that black button. Did I answer your question about the webbing and the female piece again?
That's Tanya.
Tanya, did I answer that question for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so now we're ready to attach our pocket. And if you know how we sew our pockets, our beginner ones, I know if any Carrier students are in the chat, you all can go ahead and put the instructions there because you got this down pat. But we are going to be sewing like an L. We're going to sew an L along one side, stopping in the middle, L on this side. So we want to leave a hole in the middle. We can flip it, press it, and attach it to our back lining. Okay. So again, this is the rectangle piece that we cut for the pocket, piece number 6. It's one larger rectangle. That dotted line down the middle is your fold line. We're literally just going to fold it in half, sew it, and leave a hole in the middle so that we'll have a space where we can turn it. Okay. So we're going to sew just an L, sew down, pivot, sew across, leave a hole, keep going. So here, pivot, and sew up and off the edge. I'm going to flip it, press it, and attach it. Okay. Let's do it. Tisha, if you do mind, can you check, make sure the iron is hot? It's been off, we've been away from it for a minute. It's going to press this pocket down. Thank you. Once I get to about the middle point, if you need to put a chalk mark, you can, but just need maybe 2 fingers worth. I'm just going to cut off my thread and keep going. So I'll cut it here, slide it down a little bit, and pick back up. Turn it. All right, and then when you go to flip it, you may want to.
Are you back stitching any time when you're doing this?
Not on the pocket piece because the pocket's going to get reinforced when we attach it to the lining of the bag, so it's going to be well protected. No need to back stitch on this one. I'm just snipping my corners to reduce any bulk that might try to crop up in my pocket. And so the hole that I left here, that's where I'm going to go in and turn it right side out. If you've got your chopsticks handy, you can go ahead and poke those corners out. So now that larger rectangle has become a smaller rectangle, and this entire pouch is actually a patch that we're going to attach to the back of the the lining of the bag to create that pocket on the inside. Okay. All right, let me go press this really quickly. Just to get those edges crisp. And we're back. All right. So there's a mark on your pattern piece. So piece number 6 has this dot right here beside our logo. That's a pocket placement piece. Say that 3 times fast. That's going to be where you're going to put the top of your pocket. Okay. So if you've transferred all the markings from your pattern pieces onto your fabric, that's where this corner is going to go. And there'll be one on either side. We fold it in half, remember? But because mine is not marked, I'm just going to fold mine in half to find my center again. I know that my center is here now. I'll also fold my pocket piece in half. Find the center of my pocket. And then as I go to lay it down, I'm looking and I see, oh, that looks very nice. I got my centers lined up and it's ready for sewing. What you want to be mindful of here, the corners of the pockets go on those dots and that the opening is at the bottom, because when we go to attach the pocket to the lining, we'll close that up in that same top stitch. So we're going to back stitch at the top of the pocket, go around and pivot. So across, closing up this hole, pivot, so to the top and back stitch, then our pocket will be attached. Okay. This is going right along that edge. You don't want to be too far in. Slow down so you can pivot. One last turn. And we'll back stitch at the top. All right. That is the back lining. Back lining is now done. This is the very last step of our bag, folks. We're ready to assemble and create our belly bag. Tanya said one more time. Tanya, absolutely not. You have been with us for quite some time. And you can teach this part. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know it's been a while since you've been in beginner 1 because you moved on. You made skirts and pants and things. And these pockets are so long ago. So all we did was we sewed that one piece 6. I'll show you here. Piece 6, we folded along the fold line with the right side on the inside. And we just sewed around the perimeter, but we left a hole in the middle. No, this does not have interfacing. The pocket piece does not have interfacing because this is going in the lining. Okay. So we just sewed it just like we do our reversible tote bag pocket. Sewing along the outside, leaving a hole in the middle to flip it. Once we flipped it, we pressed it flat, and then closed up that hole at the bottom by attaching it to the lining. Oh, you're sewing on now? Okay. Sounds good. All right, good. All right, let's keep going. So now we've got our bag. It just needs a back, which is what we're about to attach now. And as we go to attach this back, we can also attach we're also going to attach the belts. Let's go back to the cutting table so you can see this up close. We're in the home stretch, folks. So here we are. We've got our bag with the right side on the inside, or the outside is on the inside. The lining is on the outside. So now the belt is going to go right side down. We know it's the right side because the buckle and the clamp are both facing up. Right side's down. Just tuck all this on the inside, because we don't want to sew through any of that, but what we want to do, those notches that were on the side of piece 4, these 2 notches here, this is where you're going to line up your webbing. So your webbing is going to lay right along here on that side piece. Everybody see that? I'm just going to pin it down now to hold it in place. But again, the right side, because the buckle is facing down. And I'm going to clamp that piece in place. If you would like, maybe a good idea to leave about a ½ inch or so of your webbing extending beyond the edge of the side piece, just for some added security as we go to attach those 2. So first things first, we are going to sew the outer. I'm going to go ahead and open up my zipper because we're going to be able to flip it through the inside. We're going to attach our outer first, right sides together, and we are literally going to close up this whole bag. But you see what happened, how that webbing fell out? Let's pin that in place so that we don't sew through it, but also so that it doesn't fall out if we're going to transport it to our sewing machine. So just pin it in the middle so that it stays out of the way of your seam allowances. And we want to pin this bag all the way around. So the pin that I have on my webbing, I'll just transfer that to this piece. And I started out pinning north, south, east, and west, and then we'll just redistribute any bulk along these curves. Making sure everything gets pinned together. And as we go to sew this, we are making sure that we're sewing through all the layers. We don't want to leave any holes in our bag. Okay. All right, let's take this over to the machine. And for this piece, we don't need to leave a hole. We've got our zipper. Our zipper is open, so this is our hole right now. We're just gonna sew around the entire perimeter of the bag. I'm gonna start just below the webbing because I wanna make sure that I reinforce the webbing. Sew across that a couple of times. Take your time, because again, now we've got several layers, including the thick webbing that we're sewing through. I'm pivoting at the corners just to keep one continuous stitch to close up the entire bag. Sorry if that's blocking, the bag is getting bigger. Feel some bulk underneath. Just take your time to flatten some of that out. Looks like my interface pieces want to curl up under there. Just take your time. Once you get back to the beginning, you're going to back stitch. And here, you may choose to trim this excess around the edge, but let's just test it. I want to make sure, go up inside of here, make sure that you don't have any holes, you didn't miss any layers. The next step is to do the lining, and the bag will be done and closed up for good. So you don't want to not be able to access something that you need to fix. So here, go ahead and flip it right side out. And you will see that you do have a bag at this point. Your belly bag now exists. Make sure the zipper is still functional. Got a little bag situation going on here. Okay. But only thing is not lined, so we can see interfacing on the inside. So let's do this lining. In order to do the lining, we want right sides together. once again. I'm gonna leave the zipper about halfway open. And this time, instead of sewing on the right, on the right side of the bag, I'm sewing on, well, the outside of the bag, I'm sewing on the lining side of the bag. So I want the linings again, right sides to right side. This is the right side of my lining and the right side of my back, which has the pocket. Put that face down. And again, we're sewing all the way around the perimeter, but this time we're gonna leave that hole at the bottom again. We need to be able to access it to flip it. We no longer have access to the zipper because this is the back of the bag. Okay, so we're gonna sew all the way around the lining, same way we just did with the front, except with the outer, except we're gonna leave a hole at the bottom to turn it. With the buckle on the inside and the bag itself sitting up, you may need to press some of that down just so that everything can meet up where it's supposed to. If you've got clips, that's fine. I like the clips for where the bulk is, but then I'll use the pins along the perimeter. And even in and out, going left and right on either side of that center pin. Get it along the top. If you need to, if you think you might forget, go ahead and put your little chalk mark at the bottom to remind you to leave your hole for turning. Or if you're a visual person, you can see your pocket stitching along the outside, along this layer here. Just remember, stop somewhere where you flip the pocket with a hole, leave a hole for your bag as well. And so I'm gonna start here, so I'll know that I'll come around and I'll stop before I meet back up with that first stitch. Okay. Take your time. We've added yet another layer of fabric to this. Take your time going through all the layers. Don't necessarily need to reinforce the straps at this point because we've already done it one time. And this is an additional stitch, so they should be pretty secure. Oh, this is where the adhesive is on my bag. Let's skip over that for now. Come back to that. It wants to get stuck in that sticky part. Getting back around on the bottom. So I want to make sure that I don't close it all the way up. Leave yourself a hole. For this one, you want to leave it a little bit bigger, maybe about 2 or 3 inches. All right. I'll flip this over. So over top of that adhesive. All right, and so here is where we flip the bag right side out. Watch the magic happen. So the first flip, turning the lining to the right side. Might be a little tough. We got lots of layers in here. Here we go. All right, so let's push everything out. So now this is the inside of my bag. And so what you'll do here, take a moment, either in your spare time or tonight before you shut your machine down. You can either go ahead and stitch this closed with your machine, or since we got our embroidery and hand techniques back revived, you can hand stitch that so that you don't see where it's being closed. It looks like the audience in the studio wants us to put it on the machine. Did I do any more hand stitching tonight? But yeah, that's gonna be it. We're gonna close this up just so y'all can see where we're going with this. I would have closed this up here. I'm gonna open up my zipper a little bit more so I don't have to fight with it. And then turn it right side out. But yeah, after you close up that hole in the lining, our Alma belly bag is now done. Let's zip that up. Our buckles are intact. Our straps are attached to the sides securely. Nothing's popping out. Our zipper moves freely. Our bag is beautifully lined. And that's what we've got. We've got our Alma belt bag all done. Thank you, everyone. Good job. Thanks for hanging in there with me tonight as the last class of the day. She had a long day today, but you all did it. Thanks again. Oh, you want to see the bag? All right, so here we are. This is what we did tonight. We've made our Alma belt bag. And so it's all done. We got beautiful patching on the front. It's fully lined on the inside. Our zipper is fully functional. The sides of our straps aren't falling out anywhere. So we're good to go. We are ready. So I know that quite a few of you are sewing along with me in the chat. If you are almost done or done, go ahead and post that tonight. Even if you're not done, you can post your progress. Post some of the notes that you took in case you might be able to help somebody else who's almost finished and might have missed the part, who's waiting on their replays to come. But again, thank you for sticking it in, hanging in there with me tonight as the last class of the evening. And we look forward to another full day of sewing tomorrow. I'll pass it back over to Cecily in the main studio.